At World Remit, we understand what the journey is about, how it can sometimes take a little distance to bring us a little closer together. With ways to save more when you send more, World Remit is here for you, so you can be there for them.
Sending messages.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it says we are live.
We are.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We keep quiet.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, everybody, once again. I like when I'm just in the middle of all these powerful men, because I learn a lot on the process. So thank you very much, powerful men, for joining me here today. I have politicians, I have journalists, I have all sorts of powerful people today. So thank you very much. I have lecturers. Thank you, guys. So without further ado, today I have with me, I have Milton, I have Mike, I have Baluto, I have Zachariah, and I also have Agri. So I'll just let you guys introduce yourselves, tell us who you are and what you do. And I'll start with Milton, please. Thank you very much.
Hello, 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 hello. Thanks a lot, Lydia. Thanks a lot, Lydia. Nice to see you again. Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Milton Obamba. I am many things, actually. I'm an academic for many years now, close to 20 years as an academic in many countries, ranging from Africa to Europe to Australia. Now, apart from being an academic, I'm also an entrepreneur. So I do a number of businesses in different areas, and I'm also a consultant in business and in matters to do with research and capacity development and things like that. So I'm so excited to be here today with you and to share with you some of our thoughts about the topic for today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Milton. I also have today with us Lord Mike. Mike, please introduce yourself. Mike, are you here with us? Eddie?
Eddie is here, yes. Good
Thank
afternoon. Can you hear me? My voice is
Yes,
not
we
very
can.
clear, but I'll try my best. I'm Lord Eddie Mwangi the First. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm also a loss adjuster dealing with property claims, insurance industry guru. I'm also a leader of the North London Community Group. I have a lot of experience in people management and people marketing stuff. And I'm here to share with you about my experiences and welcome any questions in those industries, as well as happy to discuss the subject of today. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mike. I also have with me the journalist, our one and only journalist in the UK, Dr. Baluto. Or Mr. Baluto, by the way, not doctor.
Both works. Both works. They are all valid. Well, it's a great honor to be in this platform today. Our viewers, my name's Dr. Julius Baluto. And if you like Mr. Julius Baluto, I don't mind either. I've done a few things in my life a bit. I'm a former Voice of Kenya actor, and then KBC screenwriter and also screen actor on KBC as well. So I worked on those two channels for a very long time. I think about six years. And then, you know, I'm a journalist. After my acting career, my screenwriting career, I've embarked on journalism. So here in the UK, I've worked for BBC, many years in BBC, the same time ITV, and also for those who are a bit old like me, Carlton Television used to be based in Birmingham, but it merged with Renanda TV to form the current ITV. So I've also worked for ITV. But to our readers on Informa East Africa, I'm the founder and editor of Informa East Africa newspaper, which has been published in the UK for the last 6 years. So is there anything else I'm missing? I'm a people person, and yes, I also do mentorship. I mentor journalism students in City University, where I study. That's all about me for now.
Thank you, Belito. We also have Zachariah. I don't know if to call him Councillor or Chancellor or MP, or I don't even know.
We are working on that, yeah. So, yeah, my name is Zachary O'Kale, living in UK, Reading, that's outside London. I'm contesting to be a councillor in Knockout Ward, that's Talas in Reading Town. Those who knows Reading is a small town in London. Yeah, so the other things that I do as I work in the transport industry, and it was so unclear when SGR or project was being launched, and I actually proposed one or two things, but I was ignored with my proposals. But other than that, thank you, Lydia, for bringing us to this forum, and I hope that we'll be able to educate ourselves in the role of diaspora development and contribution in Kenya. So I'm standing as a councillor under Conservative government. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And last but not least, we have Agri. Agri, please. Our politician.
Not really. Thank you, Lydia, for this opportunity, and thank you for people on Facebook. Yeah, as Lydia said, my name is Agri Kikaya. I'm based in UK at the moment. My background is mainstream construction, been providing consultancy services, quantity surveying for mainly main contractors and the large organizations client side. Now it's just doing general construction. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And it looks like I've lost one of my panelists, but I think he'll come back. As a journalist, you should know how to handle this social media stuff. Okay, so to start on, I just want to say thank you very much, everybody, once more. And I'm so privileged anyway to have a councillor here standing for a councillor. So Kenyans, come on, we need to wrap up around him and support him, even though he's campaigning as a conservative, like he said. So he's getting so much fire or heat from a Black community because they see him as a traitor. He should be a Labour. He needs to be in a Labour party. But in saying that, yet when it comes to voting, as Black people, do we really go and vote for Labour? Because every time Labour fails anyway, every time. I don't even know which year we had Labour in power. So, well, whatever you want to do, whichever political field or ground you feel like this is going to bring prosperity to my people in the community as well, go with it. But am I going to support you? I don't know. I don't think so, because me, I'm Labour Damu. But anyway, let me just leave it there.
It's a free world.
And now talking about going back to our topic today about the role of diaspora and development of Kenya, and also incorporating it with BBI, that is now the talk of town in Kenya. The confusion, the lies, the controversy attached to this so-called BBI is absurd. And like I say, I'm just a facilitator, so I don't take sides. And I have my panelists here who are actually going to tell us more about this BBI and the development of Kenya, and how we just had Zachariah, what he said, that he gave an opportunity to Kenya, but he was actually, nobody listened to him. So those are the things that we need to talk about as diasporas. And in regards to the diaspora, all we ask for, and we've been saying this since we started this, I think it is in September we started this conversation of diaspora, is we've only asked for our voice to be heard because we also want to participate in the development of Kenya. That's simple, just before and for them to amend the BBI before it's implemented. But will they? Knowing Kenya, I don't know how far we get there, but let me start with my panelists today. Let's hear what they have to say in regards to this. So I'll start with Milton, please.
Thanks a lot, Lydia, for giving me the first opportunity to respond to that. I think the best way to start the discussion is to explore, the idea of the diaspora, and then we can then sort of try to incorporate it into how the diaspora has been involved in Kenya's development discourse in recent years, including political discourse. Now, Lydia, you've just mentioned there that BBI now is the talk of town, and you've also alluded to the fact that the diaspora has not been adequately involved in the discussions surrounding the BBI as it currently is. Now, first of all, I have to agree that actually BBI is the biggest thing in town at the moment. Actually, this morning, I got a text message from my niece, and in that text message, my niece, she hasn't texted me for like 6 months now, I think. Now, she sent me this text with the flyer for this discussion in that text. And I asked her, where did you get this flyer from? Oh no, this flyer is everywhere. This discussion is trending all over Kenya at the moment. I said, really? And she said, oh, that's the truth. So now there's no dispute that the BBI is one of the biggest issues on the discussion in Kenya. But now, let's step back a little bit and look at what role the diaspora has played in it. Now, for me to respond to that question, I want to be I don't want to take age. I'm used to lecturing people, but I don't want to do that today. I don't want to do that today. Now, the kind of diaspora that we have today is quite different. Diaspora is not an homogeneous entity that, okay, when you talk about the diaspora, this is the actual thing that you're talking about. It's quite heterogeneous. Now, over time, the diaspora, the African diaspora, has changed in its character and its structure. The kind of diaspora we used to have in the 1970s and the 1980s, when we had people like Raila Odinga, people like Koigi, people like Kiraitu Muringi being in the diaspora, is quite different from the kind of diaspora that we have in more recent years, in the 1990s and in the 2000s. So the kind of role that the historical diaspora in the 1980s and 1970s, the role that they played is, in our view, when we look at it, it looks their role is different from the role that the current diaspora is doing. Why is that so? That is so because the diaspora that we have today is more heterogeneous, is different. There are a lot of people. Let me just make it a little bit easier for people to understand. Those days in the 1970s and early 1980s, those who were in the diaspora were largely political activists. Most of them were political activists or people who had come to study. And in most cases, they were related to the government. So that kind of diaspora is different. Today, we have a kind of diaspora that is quite mixed. They're all kinds of, they're professionals, they're semi-skilled people, they're unskilled people within the diaspora. Some people are more politically active, others are not politically active. So when you want to talk about whether the diaspora has been adequately involved in the BBI, you now need to look at which branch, which category of the diaspora are you asking to have been involved. So I think that that is something that we're going to be sort of grappling with. I'll not go into detail now because we're going to be discussing this for the next 2 hours. So I just want to highlight the point that when we talk about the role of the diaspora, we need to put at the back of our heads that the diaspora is heterogeneous. It's not an homogeneous entity. There are people with different interests, different capabilities within the diaspora today. So we need to put that when we think about the role of the diaspora.
Thank you very much, Milton. Okay, thank you for the contribution. So I'll go to Mike. Lord Mike, Eddie the first.
Hello there. Right. The first things I would like to talk about is this BBI animal. A lot of people don't have a clue exactly what it is, but it is something that is going to change the constitution of Kenya, either positively or negatively. The word Building Bridges Initiative sounds very sweet, bringing people from different cultural and religious as well as tribal grounds together. I mean, historically, Kenya has always been voting on tribal lines, and so many things went haywire until when we had the handshake. And since then, things have moved on. BBI is good in itself because it's improving some of the constitutional differences which were in the government structure. And the only negative side of things is where we need to get to intervene is, can Kenya actually afford what the BBI is proposing? How many MPs, how many counties? Where is the income going to come to pay for their salaries? And
don't forget, Eddie, sorry, and don't forget prime ministers, like when you're talking about the MPs there.
Exactly, the prime ministers, the president, the deputies, the governors, the senators. I don't think we have the capacity in Kenya right now economically to be able to afford that kind of a budget. My input would be to delay it or stop it altogether and maybe work out on a few aspects of it and not the whole lot. But I don't know whether we have in a diaspora a strong group enough for them to hear our voices and what our concerns are for our country, because things seem to be moving very fast. There's bribery out there. I hear people are being given 2 million to pass it on in every county. And unfortunately, I don't know we will have any impact in changing anything to it. But I stand corrected. I hope the rest of the panel can continue, and I need to be educated more. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So people being given money, like you rightfully said, and also on top of the 2 million that our president said that disappears every day. So the 2 million and then the millions as well, so that we can accept the BBI to be passed.
Yes.
Wow, we are actually wasting a lot of money. And
Absolutely.
we have so many poor people in Kenya, and we're wasting a lot of money. So we're just creating a country of poverty. So anytime somebody talks about Kenya, they'll just relate it to the poverty, and it's poverty that we have actually self-inflicted ourselves. And I know when you say that it's either it's going to be negative, the BBI either is negative or positive, but should we wait and see if it's going to be negative or positive, or should we air our opinions now before it's implemented? Eddie?
Well, yes, we should air our concerns collectively as one voice. The only thing, I think we are late already, because those who are supposed to hear us don't have regard to us as a diaspora. All they're interested in is our remittances, which obviously helps the government to pay a few bits and pieces. I mean, we are counted in the GDP, but when we come to our voices, it's not there. So I think that needs to change very soon. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Eddie. So I'll go to our journalist, Mbaluto, please. And in fact, before I go to Mbaluto, Mbaluto, so sorry to cut you short. In fact, before I go to Mbaluto, I just want to say thank you to everybody who is watching us today. I don't want them to feel like we are actually ignoring them or they're there and we're here. We are actually one. So thank you very much. Every single person who have taken your time to come and listen to this conversation regards BBI and the development and the diaspora development in Kenya. And we actually appreciate your comments or your ideas as well. And as you comment, please, if you want somebody as well, you know, we always say that as Black people, as Africans, we need to support and help each other. So that means sharing this video today is supporting and also empowering somebody else who needs to hear what is going on. So please, guys, share, and also empower somebody else. So someone say, hi, I'm watching this from Sunderland. So someone is watching all the way from Sunderland. And someone say, SGR was never about service delivery. It was about kickbacks. And I'm just trying to read a few things that people are saying. And a lot of people, of course, are saying, I'm watching, which is good. Thank you very much, everybody. I think it's real. Somebody say, I think BBI is actually real and it's a good thing. So it's a good one coming up. And someone said, this sounds like same old structures, no change. Nothing happens at grassroots level. Someone say, oh, okay, I'm glad I joined. And someone is also following from Nairobi, all the way from University of Nairobi. So we need to actually educate those ones. Those are students, so they need your voices, you politicians here. So yes, Mbaluto, you can carry on. Thank you.
It could be a lecturer, you never know.
Exactly.
Nairobi. So yeah, so they need to educate us rather than educating them.
Exactly.
But yeah, look, when I look at our country, Kenya, I look at Kenya from an innocent eyes of a child. And at that level, I see a lot of things going wrong and them not being corrected. Number one, I just want to raise question and answer it. Did we need BBI? You see, BBI, what we are being told is going to solve problems like inclusivity. It's going to make people more integrate more. It's going to make people, deal a blow to what they call winner takes it all. Whatever they call winner takes it all, we want to understand what is it, what are politicians talking about. But then on the basics of my conversation, I'm just going to throw a picture for you. 2010, we inaugurated a fantastic, most progressive constitution in the world. That was 2010 constitution. Number one, in chapter 6 of our constitution, it's about ethics and integrity. All these things that BBI is supposed to be solving, those things are already in the constitution of Kenya. So when you talk about ethics and integrity chapter, it talks about, number one, people who have problems with their character, people who are corrupt, they are not supposed to be cleared to vie for any elective post. It talks about, in terms of integrity, these people who vie for elective posts, they have to be ethical, people who will be cleared and vetted, and there will be people who are not going to steal our money. But then that chapter is in the constitution. Another thing in the constitution, when you talk about inclusivity, you find that in our constitution also there is a requirement, any public appointments made by any government, requirement that they have to represent the face of Kenya. Face of Kenya is to mean inclusivity, people from all tribes and all corners of Kenya. So when you look at it, there has been an argument, and kind of carries a lot of heavy, weight, that if instead of BBI, the government focused on fully implementing the constitution, then the idea of BBI was not necessary. Then again, when we talk about BBI and diaspora, BBI versus diaspora, diaspora has been the most shortchanged by our politicians because they focus on our money more. And like the latest, that was 2010, diaspora in Kenya were among the top third in African continent. That was after Nigeria and Ghana. They remitted 2.9 billion shilling, US dollars actually, US dollars, 2.9. So I just want to throw a cost there for you and ask ourselves a question. SGR, all of it, it costed our country 3.2 billion US dollars. So look at the money diaspora is taking to Kenya. It could have funded the SGR. But what we have right now, I'm just saying these things is important to talk about them. We have a situation whereby China is giving loans, which are a bit more like the way governments builds a toll station and says we are going to raise the money from the payments that people who use the road on a toll gate pay to kind of pay itself back. But when China does that, it's given our country loans. But those loans, when we are supposed to pay back, they come and say, let us run this rail for you. And as I'm speaking to you, the most annoying thing is about SGR. Not a Kenyan train driver has driven this train. It happened only once when the whole thing was being launched. And we have 8 girls who were trained in China to drive these trains, but they've never been given chance. And when you talk about, when you see what's happening on SGR, Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission arrested Chinese men who were trying to bribe these officers without knowing they were officers, because they had been running a scandal on the way the tickets are being purchased for the train. Kenya losing about 1 million shillings every day through these tickets being sold along the SGR. When you look at SGR now, about 4 people have died along the way because of the way it was constructed. Things will fall on people. And also another man was shot by these guards from China because a crowd formed telling them, you know, it's our country, give us some jobs to work on this SGR project. So when you look at the things that are happening in our country, they are so much annoying. And look at just SGR. When will it ever be in the hands of Kenyans? And if the Chinese are making the money out of SGR, are we supposed to pay their loans? Why can't we turn around and say, oh, it was business, we went in it together? We need to ask ourselves questions. Then look at the state of our country. And that's the most important thing. Doctors are going on strike, nurses are going on strike because they didn't even have PPIs during COVID-19. Kenya, lots of money pumped from the World Health Organization to loans funding the COVID, all that. And we created COVID millionaires.
Exactly.
To date, no one has been held responsible. I haven't had any arrest. So therefore, we need to ask our question. What problems are we trying to solve as a country? Okay, let's come to BBI now. I want to ask serious questions here. Number 1, will BBI change our culture? Will BBI stop us from being corrupt? Will BBI make politicians who disobey court orders? Will BBI make them respect court orders? Oh, the fight against corruption right now, when you talk about BBI and it's like it's supposed to solve all the problems, the fight against corruption, number 1, slowness of judiciary caused by lack of appointing more judges to make the whole system efficient. The president has been given orders by court to appoint 40 judges. Chief Justice Maranga retired talking about these judges who were not appointed. Chief Justice Maranga retired saying, look, you need to obey court orders or appoint this, and also give us more funding as judiciary so we can deal a blow to corruption. But as I'm speaking to you, all the politicians who saw being chased by Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, as I can successfully say, we haven't seen someone languishing in jail or prison because of looting of our economy. So I just wanted to throw those few thoughts there and ask ourselves questions. Will BBI solve our problems?
Okay, thank you very much.
Sorry, Lydia, I don't know if I can interject. You know, I think I need to clarify a few things based on those submissions by Mr. Mbaluto.
Okay.
Yeah, because I think that
Milson.
Yes.
I totally appreciate your interjection at this point. But if you can just hang on with your interjection for now until I finish first with all my panelists, and then you will definitely come back back.
No problem. I yield.
Thank you. Okay, so I'll go to Zachariah now, our councillor for ready.
Yeah, thank you very much. I mean, what we need to do is to work this as in terms of I'll start with the BBI. How is BBI helping the common man? That's the most important thing. We as the diasporans, we are actually better off in the UK or wherever we are in terms of the accessibility of services. So we are looking at the BBI. Is it better for Kenyans who are living in Kenya? The issue of the bloated government, I don't think that could be a question that we need to answer now, because we want the idea that every single 5 years election, we should have lives saved. The last constitution has not helped us much, or it was a good constitution, written constitution, but it wasn't followed to the letter. Now, give example of the UK, whereby there's no listen roll. They don't have the original constitution, and they change the actual rules as time goes with time. So the idea of the bloated and where we're going to find the money is out of the equation to me. My focus is how can we have a stable country? At the moment, we don't have a stable country because you're fighting on tribal issues. We're talking of corruption is too high. And how can we solve these issues? Now, BBI has extended the executive to include the Prime Minister. And I would see, to my knowledge, I think that could be an additional advantage. If that can quell the hostility, the protests that we've been having every 5 years, I think that's a good thing to do, because the Prime Minister.
Sorry, you actually think the BBI is going to quench the hostility that we have every 5 years?
I think it will to some extent, as long as we follow the rules. That's what I perceive.
Who to follow
we
the
can
rules?
improve it.
As the common wananchi or the government?
The common wananchi, as long as the common wananchi and the government follow the laws, that'll be fine. It's a two-way traffic. You don't expect to break the laws as a governor or an MP and expect the common wananchi to follow the suit. Now, the question is.
Sorry, I'll just cut you there. I'm so sorry. But when you say the common wananchi to follow the rules as well, what rules are we really meant to follow right here?
The rules we're following now, if the BBI, the new constitution comes in, and it's integrated that's in law, and that's the one we talk about, the protection of properties, solving our problems through judicial systems, which need to be tightened. Corruption, we have the public audit to do their job properly. So those are things that we need to streamline, and we're moving forward to make a better Kenya. The BBI has got a mixed reaction to all Kenyans. We are focusing on how much is going to be distributed to counties. That's not even the bottom line. It could be distributed to the county, but how are you going to manage it? If this corruption level is so high, we're not going to do anything better. So to me, it's the stability that we need to endorse in Kenya so that people from diaspora can actually benefit by investments. Because without the stability, first of all, we won't do anything better. We'll just fall in shadows. The remittance that we're doing right now, we are remitting a lot of money, which is phenomenal. Almost 331 billion Kenya shillings, which was, that was last year. Now, this is based on the consumption, direct consumption. It goes to families, individuals. We need to focus now on actually how we can invest as diaspora in Kenya towards investment, because 75% of the remittance goes on direct consumption of the family. 15% goes on other things. So I would say out of 50%, 50% out of that 50% goes for probably on the education side of it. So we are lacking the investment side of the scenario. And that is what we need to focus on, stability. And then we have to rethink of how we want to engage the government so that we can actually have a better solution to all these problems in Kenya.
Okay, thank you very much. But I just wanted to bring you back to a point that you say the distributions is not even the point right now, but it is, because the distributions of the money to the counties is not actually for prosperity or development of Kenya, is to develop the individuals' pockets though, so that they can actually accept the BBI. So how is that going to help the counties develop in anything? The infrastructures are still the same. Everything is still the same. It's just one individual here getting richer and convincing the poor wananchi, the mama mboga, vote BBI.
Okay, and that's why I came back and say the prosecution department has to do their job properly. The only problem we have in the structure, government structure, we have whereby the president appoints the senior judiciaries. So what they're doing, they're simply about what the president is telling them. So we have as Kenyans to be responsible as well and be accountable for what we're doing. We can't blame anybody else apart from ourselves. And I think that's where we need to start from.
Okay.
Zachary, but sorry to intervene. I thought judiciary is supposed to be independent.
It's supposed to be independent by paperwork. But if you look at the judicial system, it's about how much money you have. And you can get away with a lot of things.
Okay. Okay, thank you. So before I go to Agre, who is patiently waiting, our politician, I just want to say thank you once more for everybody who is watching. And just to read some few comments as well before I go to Agre. Thank you very much, everybody watching. And I can see we have around almost 100 and over 100 shares. So thank you guys. Keep sharing, call more people to come. So we hear your voices, BBI, BBI, BBI. So guys, keep on sharing, and thank you very much for taking your time to come here. Actually, the person was following from Winston Churchill. I like that name. Winston Churchill said, I'm actually a postgraduate student, political science and economics. So yeah, Baluto, we have somebody there. And someone said, yeah, I'm sharing, and then their battery died. Oh, poor Dominic. Please, Dominic, charge your phone. Next time, come with your phone fully charged. And the useful proposal in the BBI did not require a constitutional change. The only bit that requires a constitutional change is the change to the executive structure. Do we need the changes right now with the state of economy? I don't think so. That's what somebody says. BBI, someone else says, BBI is merely services political expectancy of the political class. It is imposing more economic burden as it expands the government and consequently future huge recurrence expenditure to service government salaries, keeping our already airy economy on life support. BBI therefore ends up causing more problems that it was designed to solve. Someone said diaspora is that cash cow that is being regarded by the Kenyan government as the 7 grand and insignificant cows. BBI is preaching of inclusivity, but blanking out our stockholders in the political pie chart. I actually wanted to say that, but someone just said it before me. Richard Mata. Thank you very much for that comment. Someone said we can debate till the cows come back. Unless our people see the need for revolt, revolution is inevitable. History repeats itself. Current government system is not far from the colonial system. Tribal chiefs decided then how resources is long. Let me see. Hang on. It's a long one. We can debate if the cows come home. Unless our government see the need for revolt, revolution is inevitable. History repeats itself. Current government system is not far off from the colonial system. Tribal chiefs decided then how resources were distributed. BBI is just an imposed version of neocolonialism. I wish BBI created pure parliamentary democratic system. Sadly, it creates a more powerful president at the apex with a weak PM prime minister working at the mercy of executive. This is This is a fertile breeding ground for an overacting imperial presidency and authoritarianism. Thank you very much. And I'll leave it there, but we'll come back with some comments. So I'll leave it there for now, and we'll come back because I have to go to Agri. So Agri, please, thank you very much. Do we have Agri? Is it gone?
Agri has dropped, kind of.
Oh.
I haven't dropped.
No,
Okay,
it's-
thank you.
it's
Sorry,
here
I was on
now.
mute.
There
Thank you.
he is.
Yeah. Thank you for everybody that's watching on Facebook. Now, I think when you look at BBI, we need to be very careful because we need to first of all address all the 9 points that were, that brought about the BBI. And I think most of you have touched on it. Things like lack of national ethos, inclusivity, and devolution, and so forth. Now, I think the only one there that I think, to me, required a referendum is that one of inclusivity, which means that it will include everybody apart from the Kenyan people themselves. It will include all the politicians, all the top elites, but it leaves out the normal Kenyan. Now, I don't believe that the BBI has covered all the areas that are needed. And I don't believe that we actually need the BBI, to be honest with you. What needs to happen is just to implement the 2010 constitution. And then if we want to increase the executive, that should just be brought on board. But to send us in circles and running around and singing and dancing on people's graves, I mean, it's unfortunate. The political elite needs to just say, we want to change this. Are you happy with us or not? And I think if you ask me, I strongly believe that Kenya is already inclusive. If you go to Mathare, you'll find people are sharing, ukikosa chumbi, mwingine anaenda kwa mwingine, different tribes. So the people who bring problems or issues are actually the politicians themselves. And Kenyans are traumatized. They're so traumatized. When you speak to people back home, somebody tell you, I've not had a meal for 2 days. You receive SMSs every day. We don't have food, please send us some money. And it's rather unfortunate. The politicians need to think more of what can we get within 10 years than what can we get the next election. I mean, the focus is too much on being re-elected rather than focusing on what is the future of our country. Yes, we're having conversations now. I mean, it's good to have a conversation, but not a conversation just to put there a few people and then the rest still continue suffering like they normally do. It's good, they're getting 35%. What is in that 35%? Health has been devolved, but then you find the counties not actually getting money to pay the doctors and the nurses. Development, you're getting ward development. Is that part of the 35%? What is actually in this 35% that is going to be devolved? So I think playing around on the chessboard, moving things around, but nothing is going to change. That's what I see happening within the BBI.
Thank you. So there is that rule and divide, the poor and the rich with the BBI right now. Okay, thank you very much. So now I'll go to Milton, who wanted to interject. But before I go there, somebody said BBI is divisive, but not inclusive, which I'm 100% with that. And like I said, I'm a facilitator, so I don't take sides. And someone said, I wish to differ with the speaker who said he supports BBI since it will bring stability. No, how will we have stability if we won't be able to pay the bloated parliament and executive? Actually, instability is caused by inflation and skyrocketing cost of living. So how can you say BBI is going to bring?
Can I answer that as well?
Yeah, answer that, because that is actually directed to you first.
Yeah, I think if you look at about, I think sometime back when the president said that up to 2 billion are being wasted or under corruption, if you look at that figure on its own, that can cover the cost of some of the departments that we're talking about when it comes to bloated government. What happens normally is we cannot have a constitution for over 10 years. It's impractical because the world is changing. The technology is changing. The way we're looking at things are changing. Therefore, we need to keep with time. The only way we can keep the time is to talk, not to oppose. BBI cannot be perfect. We can improve it. And that's what we need to do. So as we talk, some will disagree, some will agree. But at the end of the day, it's how can we unite Kenya on one ground whereby there'll be less corruption and will not wastage, accountability as a citizen, nationalism come to play in part, whereby we need to love our country. We need to make sure that whatever you do is going to benefit the generation to come.
Well, it's very interesting you say that, but I'm just saying, is it not the same president admitting 2 billion getting stolen every day? No, not getting lost, it's actually stolen. The same president admitting that is the same president imposing on Kenyans the BBI. Anyway, let me just leave it there. Let me just bring Milton now.
Can I contribute to that slightly?
Yeah. Thanks, Lydia. Thanks, Lydia.
Sorry, Agri. Let Milton interject, and then I'll bring you on, Agri. Sorry.
Yes, I had an interjection about Mr. Mbaluta's contribution, but I also have now an interjection for what Agri just talked about. I think the key
is you only speak about one Mbaluto first, and then I'll go to Agri and come back to you.
Okay, I'll leave that alone. Now, Mr. Mbaluto is bringing a discussion that is quite common among a lot of sections in Kenya, where people are asking that, okay, what exactly is the BBI bringing on the table for us? And then he also raises the point of the cost of the BBI. Actually, he should have talked also about the cost of the current government, the current devolved system. Now, I want to look at 2 points. Number one, I want to look at what BBI brings on the table, and then I'll go into a brief discussion about the cost. This is not a lecture. Now, for us to talk resourcefully about what BBI brings on board, I think we need to sort of unpack some sections of the BBI and actually see what does it really entail. There are certain things that I'm taking a very critical view of it. There are certain sections we don't agree in entirety with the BBI, the whole of it, but there are certain sections of it that we I believe that if we are honest, we need to acknowledge those ones as well, as we also point out the areas that may need improvement. Now, one, look at something like that section on citizenship. For a long time, if you look at the Kenyan constitution, the one that we are currently using, the citizen doesn't have anything that they need to do to be a Kenyan. You just need to be born in Kenya. That's the only thing you needed to do. You're not called upon to be anything apart from being born within the borders of Kenya. That's the only thing you needed. But now we've got a whole section that defines who a Kenyan is supposed to be. What are your responsibilities as a Kenyan? Those ones were not there before. I wish there were some instruments to ensure that each individual can be held accountable for how much they're proven to be citizens of Kenya or not. Yeah, at least we need to have something like that. But we have a very elaborate section on what it means to be a Kenyan citizen. There must be responsibility. It's a great thing to be a Kenyan, but it's just horrible that you can be a Kenyan, like in the current constitution, but there's no responsibility on you. Number two, I'm just trying to outline very briefly some of the things that the BBI brings on the table that I don't want to talk about the prime minister, the deputy prime ministers. I know you have talked about those already. The second thing is about the economic ethos of Kenya. If you look at the Kenyan constitution, the 2010 constitution, there's nowhere that the Kenyan state is being looked at as an economic entity. You see that? if you just go, if you have a copy of the constitution, just go and check. There's nowhere that the Kenyan state or the Kenyan government is required to do anything that is economic in nature. But now, under the BBI, we've got a whole section that puts a responsibility on the Kenyan state and the Kenyan government to ensure that they create economic systems that are in a position to meet the needs of all Kenyans in a manner that is comprehensive, fair, and sustainable. So now it is a constitutional mandate for the Kenyan state and any Kenyan government to look at that dimension. It was not there in the 2010 constitution. So in other words, what I'm saying in simple terms is that under the 2010 constitution, even if the government does nothing to improve your life, they have not broken any laws, nothing. They're not supposed to do it for you, but now they are supposed to do it under the constitution. Now, I can't go through all the things, but there's some very useful provisions, such as you all know that there's so many of the legislations that are coming down the line, apart from, if you look at the Constitution of Kenya, Amendment Bill 2020, there's so many legislations that are coming under that banner. One of them is the one on public procurement and financial management. If you live in Kenya, or if you live anywhere and you listen to what is happening in Kenya, you know about all the pending bills, the billions in every county that you go to, there are billions pending. Now, in the current constitution, there's nothing to require the county governor to pay up their bills. You know that? There's nothing to require them. You can supply your things to a county this month and they don't pay you until the end of the year. They can do that. But now under the BBI, there's a provision that when a county does procurement, they need to pay promptly. They need to ascertain, first of all, that the money is there to pay you for those services that they have just asked for. And you know, Guy, if you have read the section on the youth, what is proposed for the youth, just look at that section. In the 2010 constitution, there's nothing that has been said to support the youth, but in the BBI, we've got a section that requires the government of Kenya.
But Milton, let me just interrupt you there.
Yes.
Yes, I know in the BBI, and like I said, I'm not really a politician. I'm just a facilitator. Yes, there's things that are negative. There's negativity there and positivity in the 9 points in the BBI. But you're saying that in the 2010 constitution, it wasn't mandate for them to follow all the rules, but now with the BBI, it's there. This is just in paper, Milton. Nobody's going to, this is the Kenyan government. So you want to tell me that before BBI came, our constitution was nothing because it's never respected. Those things are just in paper. Nobody really follows the constitution. Even BBI will be there. Nothing is. They've spoken about the youths. Yes, they've spoken about women. They've spoken about disability. Come on. Anyway, let me go to Agri right now, Milton. I'll stop there. I'll go to Agri. I'll come back to you. Okay. But I'm not for BBI or against BBI. I'm just a facilitator, like I said. So Agri. Yeah,
actually, I'm debunking Milton's assertion because why should you legislate for normal things you would do? When you go to a shop, you take something, you buy, you pay for it. I mean, I don't think we need to legislate to pay somebody. So I think Milton there, I'm not really with you on that one. And also, Mr. Winston Churchill commented on about expanding the executive. Now, executive, the only people there can see who will be, the roles are extra, but the budgets and the payment for these people is constant. The same thing with what's going to be the 35%. It's just taking money from somewhere and moving somewhere else, but it's already there. So really, the cost-wise, it's not really much. The only thing you're doing is creating more bureaucracy rather than putting things in place to implement whatever you want to implement for the country to move forward. So I refuse to accept Milton's assertion that, oh, you need to legislate for every single little thing. The minute you start legislating for every single thing, it means you've got a big problem, a very big problem. You have to create a law for every little thing. Next, you'll be creating a law for how somebody should sleep with his wife in his house. So we need to be very careful with that one.
Okay, before I go to Maluto, I just want to say thank you to everybody watching again on Facebook. Thank you very much. And I just want to read something. I think somebody here can rate you because I think he's for BBI. So he's not happy that some people are actually against BBI. So he said, I'm just wondering how many of the speakers have actually read the BBI document. You can't just propose something you don't know the contents. But everybody has their own opinion. Everybody have their own, that's where we have Labour and Conservative. So anybody can go where they feel like. So you can't really say we have to support BBI so that we are in your good books. Because I can see now he's actually with Milton saying great contribution, Milton, well done. So, and someone said the biggest issue we have in Kenya is not lack of laws and regulation, but implementation and observance of the same. So we'll move on. Thank you very much, everybody. And like I say, keep sharing, so we have a good discussion. Keep on sharing. I can see we have more than 100 now, 100 and something shares. So keep sharing and thank you very much. And keep your comments coming in, keep your ideas coming in and questions coming in. We have very powerful 5 panelists here, all men, that are going to answer your questions. We have lords, we have councillors, we have journalists, we have lecturers, you know, we have everybody here. So they're going to help you with your questions. Thank you very much. Have we already the BBI documents in details? Yes, Miss Elizabeth Kangede, our mayor, yes, we have. Thank you very much. Okay, yes, I'll go to Baluto.
If we flash our memories quickly back to early 2018, we find a Kenya that was divided just into two. One arm of Kenya went to the opposition under the leadership of People's President, former Prime Minister Raila Odinga, and the other half was with the Jubilee fraternity under the leadership of the president. That Kenya is kind of a very scary Kenya. And if we focus on BBI, we need to remember that, because the handshake brought Kenya back at a very difficult time. Kenya was facing the abyss, definitely going to, no one knows what would have happened. Because if we remember very well, a map of a different Kenya had been designed, and it was in circulation that we're going to have one section of Kenya secede because of historical, political injustices. Let's all agree that if all our elections were free and fair and were faultless and they were seen as free and fair and accepted, then it wouldn't matter who ruled Kenya. It wouldn't matter which tribe produced a president. But our problem lies in a country whereby almost all elections were disputed. And sometimes people blame one person and not the other. I mean, for me, I stand in the middle of everything. I'm a journalist. I see things objectively. I don't want to take sides. But let me give you this Kenya, whereby before even election 2017, an MP felt it being an important issue to go to parliament and produce a bill. And that bill required that for the next 50 years, 2 tribes like Kalenjins and Kikuyus are not supposed to produce a president because they have governed Kenya. They have produced president for the last 50 since independence. And it is the truth. This thing is what President Uhuru raised not long ago, saying that what is wrong with another tribe governing Kenya? So that is actually a very sensitive issue that keeps on being kept under the carpet. And another big elephant, which we try to cover with a carpet, is a IEBC, the electoral body. Do we ask ourselves what they are doing now? Did you know that since last election, three commissioners, electoral commissioners, resigned. And because while we are talking BBI, tanga-tanga, na kuto-tanga-tanga, and all these other things, kieleweke na kisichoeleweka, while we were on that, these electoral commissioners resigned. Why can't we see the things? And we are waiting, and politicians are waiting. When it's just like come election time, they focus on IEBC. Where were they for the last 5 years? Why did they not sort the problems of IEBC? IEBC has taken us as a country to the abyss. Do you remember 2007? The former electoral commission, Kivuitu, coming and telling Kenyans, I don't know who won. How can a referee of a football match say he doesn't know which team won? Seriously? We need as a country to focus on IEBC. We need to focus on, I covered the Chicken Gate scandal in London Royal Courts of Justice, whereby IEBC was being bribed by a UK firm to inflate the bill of the voting, whatever material they were buying. And the difference inflated would be sent to these commissioners in the name of chicken. Do we understand our problems? We need to focus on IEBC, not to wait until last minute. Now, when we look into also the genesis of the handshake, I'm one person, although I'm a journalist, I was like, okay, this country now seems to be divided between Raila and Uhuru. And I'm like, if the two can just come together, can someone tell them to come together and shake their hands and agree so that we continue to have our country, not being so hot and divided into two? So I celebrated the handshake. And I understand, because there was a handshake, there has to be progression. It has to be justified. Something has to be done. A report must be produced to justify its existence. A BBI must come. And that's the genesis of the BBI. But will it solve our problem? Problems, again, as Kenyans, one of the findings, I've read the BBI report, right? One of the findings, the BBI, what were they talking about? That Kenyans, we have a culture of not respecting the laws. My question, will BBI makers, when you're driving, you see on the road, brilliant, expensive traffic lights are there, they are working fine, but a traffic officer just stood there. When the traffic showed you is green go, when you're moving, the police officer stops you. And when it's red, they beckon you to go. Why can't we obey the laws from the basic law on the road? So if you can jump a red light in Kenya, will BBI stop you jumping the red light? If you can give a bribe, will BBI stop you bribing your way out? You see, there are issues we need to focus on. What we are focusing on right now is very elitist. Elitist we are talking about at the top, yeah, the big formation of the government, but also having read and listened and interviewed politicians. This is what they are saying about how to justify bloated expenditure at the top. They're saying that if BBI goes through, referendum is successful, all the names we have cabinet secretaries will go. They're saying these people were hired outside the political arrangement. So in the future, we revert to the cabinet ministers' positions and assistant ministers' positions. And these appointments will come from working politicians. These BBI people, they are telling us, those politicians will only earn their salary, nothing extra to be paid. And the same thing applies to two deputy prime minister and the prime minister. Are they speaking the truth? Only time will tell, but I thought we bring that on board.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Baluto. I have a question here, but I'll throw that question to Eddie, but before Eddie comes, I'll let Zachariah interject because he had his hands up. So someone say the BBI actually has, a budget for the youths. In current constitution, is the biggest budget is for the national youths in the current constitution. So I'll let Eddie answer that, but I'll go to Zachariah I
wasn't injected. It's just I would like to support Julius as well, and we need to recommend what Raila and Uhuru have done to bring at least some level of peace in the country. We need to acknowledge when things are good, and we need to, just make sure that if anything is good, we talk about it. We cannot just keep on talking about the negative stuff all the times. It's a circle of every 5 years, we move 2 steps and we move 1 step behind. The protest and all those kind of things. But if there's a peace that has been shown by Raila and Uhuru, we need to recommend that. And also, let's listen to the opposition. Let's listen to people like Ruto. Ruto has worked with Raila. Ruto have worked with Uhuru. Ruto have worked with most of the government officials. You cannot become an enemy because of a disagreement of policies and governance. So let's work together, and that's what I need to put across, that we shouldn't create enemy because of government or leadership in the country.
Thank you very much. I know Milton really wants to come in, but Milton, before you come in, I'll just go to Eddie, and then Milton, you come in.
Oh, thank you very much, Lydia. I'm going to touch on youth and the importance of youth in our country. Based on economics, the youth plays the biggest part in terms of we have the potential of them becoming something for themselves. And that's why BBI has given a lot of a biggest budget in terms of allocation of funds. One is to create employment, youth employment. Most of the previous government did not have a target to create employment for the people finishing university, leaving colleges, leaving high school. And we find that Kenya's got a lot of people who are elite and they've got degrees, doctorate, and yet they don't have employment whatsoever. With this new initiative, I think it's a good thing that there's money aside for the youth so that they can create, or that money can go to create opportunities for them. One for business, one can open a little kiosk and build his stuff and sell and make money or a living out of it. And that's being self-employed. Others would be each government ministries can take on people who are apprentice, come and learn a trade. And when you finish the trade, you go into self-employment. And I think that's a good thing. I don't know how much in reality that would be, but we wish to see good things in the future, I hope.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Facebook. People who are watching on Facebook, we are one, we are together. Thank you so much, and keep on sharing. I can see we have more than 127 shares. That means we are sharing. So we are supporting each other in this, and we are together. So once again, please, we want you to comment, bring your comments, bring your questions and your ideas as well. And also don't forget to share as you join in. And someone said there are no permanent enemies in real politics, only difference of opinions and policies. As a facilitator, kind of just disagree with that a little bit, because we've seen people disappear in Kenya. We've seen people disappearing. We've seen people being deported. We've seen people being killed, and nothing is done. And all is the name of politics. So yes, we do have permanent enemies, because for somebody to actually put you in a coffin because of politics, that is a permanent enemy. So I totally disagree with that. Anyway, as a facilitator, what do I know? So I'll go to Milton, please.
Oh, thanks, Lydia. Thanks for that. Thanks a lot, all our guests who are on Facebook. We are together with you. Now, I want to raise a couple of points. Pointing towards what Mr. Maluta just talked about. Julius, you're questioning whether the BBI is going to solve all our problems? Is it going to make people follow the rules? Is it going to make people respect the Constitution and things like that? Now, there's no guarantee about that. I think in every constitution, in most parts of the world, we don't expect the Constitution to solve all the problems that are there, that everything you want to do, you just go to the Constitution and it is sorted out. Yeah, the Constitution is just there as a guide, as a reference point that, that we can use to deal with some of the problems that we face in our society. So I don't think that we need to judge the BBI initiative or the bill that has come out of it on the basis of whether it's going to solve all our problems. The Constitution is as good as the culture within which it is being implemented. How receptive are people to the provisions of that Constitution and things like that. So I think that is just something we need to clarify. Another thing that you have raised is about, and somebody, I think one of our guests on Facebook asked a question about the cost of our devolved government or the cost of the expanded executive. Now, that's a big point. And actually, I'm one of the people who have argued until my voice went hoarse that even devolution itself, as it currently is a very costly undertaking. I've made reference to places like in Nigeria with a similar kind of political system, a federal kind of system like the one we have in Nairobi now, in Kenya now. Despite the Nigeria being one of the oil-rich countries, it's one of the very poor countries if you look at the quality of life of the people of Nigeria. So a lot of money is consumed by the governance itself. So by the time money comes from Abuja, before it comes to your village somewhere in Nigeria, it's already consumed. And that is the problem that we have with devolution, even in Kenya as it currently is. Yeah, so the cost is already a problem at the moment. Now, the second problem that we have argued about is the capacity within these devolved units to actually manage and absorb the amount of money that is being put into their budgets. You know, I can see that in the BBI, there's a proposal that allocations to the devolved governments is going to rise from 15% currently to 35%. Now, the current amount, the 15%, is a huge amount of money when you look at the Kenya's national budget. Now, the question that we've been asking and we continue to ask right now, even as the BBI is being rolled out, is what kind of capacity do the devolved units have to manage that amount of money and spend it effectively? Some of you have already talked about how in a lot of counties, corruption is rampant still. Infrastructure is dilapidated, it's dead. Absolutely. I've been in a number of counties when I was in Kenya recently, and the situation, the infrastructure is just horrific, despite the funds being allocated to these governments in the name of bringing the development closer to the people. So now the question is, if we want to increase allocation to these devolved units from 15 to 35, what kind of capacity have we created in these devolved units to be able to prudently spend that amount of money in the areas that they need to do it? I submit, and I've submitted before, that our devolved units, as they currently constituted, do not have the capacity to run some of these kinds of budgets that is being given to them. They have not been trained. I'm not aware of any training where some of these units, the people in those governments, whether they've been trained on how to manage public funds. In a lot of cases, and actually that's one of the problems that bring corruption, is that people don't see the difference between public money and their own money. They don't see that the public have a stake in that money that they've got, so that they need to spend it on improving the lives of the common people within their counties. People don't see that. And there's need for actually, it's a bit of capacity for that to be done. And I think that is something we need to look at. So even if we are talking about the cost of the proposed structure of the judiciary, where we have the prime minister, the deputy prime ministers, we already have quite bloated systems in place at the moment. We just need to streamline some of those and create enough capacity for those devolved units to be able to manage the funds that is given to them. Yeah.
Thank you, Milton.
Milton.
Just to say something before, Baluto had his hands up before Agri, but I just wanted to say something. I know Baluto spoke about how are they going to force us to respect the constitution or the rules. And I know Milton also as well rightfully said that in the whole world, they cannot force anybody to respect the constitution or the rules. But the difference is between Kenya and the other countries is because you will pay for breaking the rules and regulations. You're not going to bribe your way through. But in Kenya, you bribe your way through. So that is the difference. That is why now, if I'm here, well, they call it first world, whatever, first world, I don't really agree or disagree. I will 100% respect the rules and regulations because I know that I'll have to pay for it. But if I'm in Kenya, I don't care breaking them because if I have £2 in my pocket, I know that I'll break it and I'll just bribe my way through.
Lydia, let me just put one point. I think you're raising a very important point. Let me just raise one thing.
Let me interject.
Yes, first of all, I did say,
let Baluto interject, Milton. You come back.
Let me make this point before I forget. You know, given my age, I can easily forget it.
Are you that old?
Listen, Lydia. I didn't say that all over the world people don't have to respect the Constitution. People respect the Constitution. That is a requirement. What I was saying is that the fact that a constitution is there is not it's not like we don't expect the constitution to automatically solve all the problems that we've got. Yeah,
that's why I want to interject.
The point I want to make is this, going to Lydia's point. Lydia, you're making an important point that in Kenya and in other parts of the world, people can easily circumvent the requirements of the constitution or the rules or the laws and things like that and get away with it. There's one point. We need to have a system where there are consequences for breaking the law. That's what we need. At the moment, we don't have that. Even the
so do you think then BBI should have that as the point number one?
It should be there. There should be consequences.
I waited for long.
Yeah.
And implemented as well, not just in the book, but implemented. Okay, Julius.
If we listen and agree with you, Doctor, there, yeah. I respect. I'm also academic, by the way. And when I studied politics way back, they used to talk about individual rights and versus majority rights. And there is a philosopher known as John Rawls. He was written a brilliant book known as A Theory of Justice. And by the way, he talks about when an individual is important and when majority are important. Let me just put it this way straight. Academic angle, fantastic, because that's what we hear in lecture rooms all the time, that, oh, well, this is theory, this is the way things work, but in practice, it never works. You see, a constitution is the regulatory authority of all our lives. And most of the time when I speak to people, I meet people say, I don't pay attention to politics. I'm like, you need to pay attention, because every law that regulates your life, it emanates, it comes from the parliament. It is the politicians who are legislators. They go to parliament, they legislate, they make laws. Those laws govern our lives and we have to follow them. The problem we have in Kenya, there's the law for the rich and the well-to-do, and the law for the common man on the ground. Mm-hmm. We are living in a country whereby a chicken thief languishes in prison because he was arrested, taken to jail, and all he does is to stay in remand, attending the court appearances. He may serve there, like, because of slowness of the judiciary, he may spend almost 3 years coming to hearing of the case. because of slowness of the judiciary. Raise it up. Who is not funding the judiciary? The government. So you see these things in the same country. Governor kicked out because of corruption like Waititu. Yeah. He thought we forgot. He's now trying to vie to become the governor of Nairobi. Give me a break. It's the same country. The law matter. The law matter. The constitution matter. And that's the way we need to see it. And we preach the message of let Kenya be a country where we obey the laws, all of them, and let there be no law for the rich and well-to-do and the law for the poor. That's why I think it's important to see it that way.
Thank you, Baluto. We have one person shooting a DJ and going scot-free, and we have one person stealing chicken and staying in prison for 3 years. The same Kenya, the same constitution, I think. All right. Anyway, Agri had his hands up. So yeah.
Yes. I think Milton. Okay, is good. He's come up with some good points. However, I disagree with him on a lot of them because we have number one. You spoke about lack of skills. Can I bring to your attention that before devolution, there's a lot of training that went on, and during devolution, implementation of devolution, there was the World Bank offered all the counties money for training. So it's not lack of training, and Kenyans are very skilled. Kenyans are highly skilled. They're some of the most highly skilled people in the world. So you cannot say that we lack the skills. We bring Chinese to build our bridges, but there's so many engineers in Kenya, so many architects in Kenya, so many craftsmen in Kenya. So it's down to political will to actually follow this through. Secondly, it's to do with the sort of training skills. It's to do with the government itself. There are people who have been put in position, who are in politics in the country, but they don't really understand what it's like to lead people. They go there with the intentions of getting what they can. Had they gone there with what we call proper leadership skills, some of you have been on leadership training courses. A leader is a person who represents people, the interests of people, and he listens both to the people who are against them and the people who are actually voting for them. But in this case, you find that, these guys didn't vote for us. So when you have that kind of attitude going on, it doesn't matter how many BBIs you bring along, it doesn't matter how many times you change the constitution, it will not work. BBI is not going to solve a quarter, leave alone a tenth of the problems you have in Kenya. It is down to political will and discipline. Let's not cheat ourselves that, this is end of it, will solve a problem. It won't. 2022 will still have violence. 2027 will still have violence. 2030 will still, until the political elite changes and says, hang on a second, this is not the right way to go. And you don't have to, you can write as many books as you like about solving the issues. And I'm sure there are so many that are written before, from 1970, 1960, up to now. You're still writing them. They're not going to solve a problem. It's down to individuals' ethos, ethics, kuwa na utu. That is what is required. But writing, continue writing, I can't see it doing much. That's my contribution.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay, Zachariah wants to say something, but before you say something, Zachariah, I just want to again say thank you to our Facebook viewers. Facebook viewers, thank you. I've seen we have more than 137 shares. Thank you very much, but keep sharing. Bring your ideas, bring your questions. We have panelists here who are very qualified and they know about BBI, and yes, they've read about BBI, so they will answer any question. Apart from me, I'm only a facilitator. What do I know? So, but I'm going to read some of the comments. So the $1 million question is, whose interest does BBI really serve? What does it bring on the table for the jobless Kenyan youth or the mama mboga struggling to live, hand to hand, hand to mouth? Is consolidating the body politic the most urgent priority for our immediate needs as a country? As a youth, I feel we have no seat at the table or a sizable piece of pie. That is actually a youth talking like that. So what hope do we have? Milton, hang on. I still have Zachariah there before you, but you come. We like your points. And someone say, please, come on. Kibaki was able to transform the economy without BBI. Totally agree, because he was an economist anyway. And on the ground, things are different. Let MCA vote for it. But common Wananchi shall vote a big no. Why give 2 billion for salary people? Only in Kenya, only in Kenya politicians, people disappear for speaking the truth. The solution is without doubt with us, implementing the 2010 COK word by word, line by line. Okay, and somebody have answered Elizabeth there for what she said, so I'm not going to read that. Someone say, government of Kenya cannot respect the 2010 constitution. This will be a waste of money, more money meant to give old guys, overtaken by events, extension of power. Someone say, I wish the two principals who initiated the BBI should reach all politicians to avoid contested BBI. I agree with the Jeremiah Mburu. Somebody says that. Someone said that Harive, his wife. Yeah, just what Agri made a comment there. And if you're not following the implementation, there is no point. And I think that's just it. We never follow implementation. It's always about the books on the ground. Things are different. Discipline and political will is key. Kenyans are highly skilled, but no one recognizes them, not even talking of millions of inventors, but who cares them? Who cares about them? So sad. Okay, I'll leave it there.
Okay.
As we continue with Zachariah first.
Yeah,
I'll
just address what Agri just said about BBI. You know, we're writing all this constitution, but they'll be violent at the every single election. Let's cool down on that. Let's try and follow the constitution as individual, as a country. That's what I want to do. In terms of the educational side of it, we got experts. We got Milton. We got any sector you're looking into. We got people to do the jobs. It's only to tap into their skill and finding where they are. We know where they are. The embassy here knows who we are. And when you're applying for a passport, you tell them exactly who you are, what job you're doing, all those kind of things. Now, when it comes to education part of it as a nation, my contribution, or the way I look at things on the modern world, in Kenya, the 844 system failed us big time. We are producing employees. We're not producing innovators. We're not producing people who can create wealth. So that's where the problem is. The government will not do everything, but if you have a system that can produce, population that are inventors and also creating wealth, you don't need to be educated to create wealth. And that's been shown by top companies in the world, So we need to look at how we set up our education system. In Europe, you don't need to go to university to run a company. In Kenya, they start telling you need to have a degree. There's no experience. You need to have a degree to run a company. So we need to focus on creating wealth rather than creating, students who are just going to be employed in most likely in a government whereby there's so many opportunities. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Baluto, thank you.
The question that, like what Dr. Just talked about in terms of skills on the ground in Kenya, I think maybe you need to do a bit of research. Kenya has a lot of innovators. I'm speaking to you right now. 3 Kenyans, the innovation is going global as I'm speaking to you right now, even during the lockdown. And when you talk about Kenya, I've been there. Kenya leads the world in terms of money transfer, international telephone money transfer. Kenya leads the world. Remember, M-Pesa was the initiative of Kenya, innovation of Kenyans, and it's been going global. locally where we are, UK, and we think we are in the best place. Barclays Bank tried this kind of innovation by Kenyans, and all they could do was to help you to transfer money between Barclays customers alone, calling it ping it. So we Kenyans, we are global when you talk about innovation. We are in London, my brother. The London Transport is a brainchild of a Kenyan Professor Washington Okumu. So please, and look at you, my brother. You are a doctor. What are you doing lecturing in the Western Hemisphere? And you're saying Kenyans don't have skills? Let's go on the ground in Kenya. Did you know there are about 3 governors, graduates of Harvard University?
That is not my
Professor
problem.
Kibuga Kibwana, one of them. You want me to count for you?
Let me cut you short. Let me cut you short. I know, Lydia, sorry about that. I know it's your role to do that. I don't want you to take me.
So let me finish. It's okay. Let's fire. Don't worry. Let me finish what I'm saying.
Straight.
Milton, just let him finish, and then you can.
Let me finish. Let's fire on you. Don't worry anymore. That's it. That's gone. We are friends. So what I'm saying is that we have what it takes on the ground in Kenya to go far. Problem comes when SGR project is given to the Chinese. They bring the money, but they bring their labor. Did you know across Africa, hear this, across Africa, last year, 200,000 Chinese people went to work on Chinese projects on the ground in Africa. Did you know, according to statistics, last year, end of last year, in Africa on the ground, we have 1 million Chinese working in different countries, All these projects that come with, we'll give you the money, but we are going to run your project for you. Let me ask you a question now. When you go to the bank, you have a business, right? Let's say you sell some tea in a restaurant that you are on. You go to your bank and you tell the bank, can I have a loan? What is it for? For business. They say, okay, we'll give you the money. Does the bank come and tell you, let me also help you to run your restaurant? Do they also tell you that when we run your restaurant, we are going to get the money and it's going to be ours for this length of time? They don't do that. That's what China is doing in different countries in Africa, Kenya being included. And they are kicking out potential investors. Property industry in Kenya now is infiltrated by these guys. Angola, they built what was known as Ghost City, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of apartments. And the poor Angolans could not even afford it. So we need to wake up and see how the world is working, and we steal their script and we run our business better than themselves.
All right, thank you so much, Baluto, for that. I know Dr. Milton wants to come. That's why he's a doctor, Dr. Milton. But before Dr. Milton comes in, I just want to say thank you again to all our viewers on Facebook. Thank you so much, and thank you for sharing, and thank you for your comments as well. We really need your comments. We need your questions. We're here to answer them, and also your ideas as well. And don't forget to share and like and comment. Thank you very much. So I'll just read something. Somebody said, I agree partly with Dr. Milton and strongly with Mr. They didn't finish putting the name. Yeah, Mr. Agri. Yeah. So I agree partly with Dr. Milton and also strongly with Mr. Agri. Political will is the main ingredient to deliver change to Kenyans rather than bills after bills, reggae or wheelbarrow economics. The diaspora should join hands with highly skilled and youths for a better Kenya. I agree with Agri on the political of Kenyan government political will, which is both malnourished and suspect. BBI is another example of a train wreck. The 2010 constitution is surface and covers all the BBI is trying to mimic. Someone say Zukabaka tried to buy M-Pesa. By the way, Zukabaka tried to buy out M-Pesa. And then 844 was was not waste of time. The problem was an economy that was not able to absorb most of the graduates. I know it's Baluto who spoke about the 844 system. Agri is true. BBI won't change anything. The money which is propagated to be the country governs from 15% to 35% will benefit a few individuals, governors, and their families and girlfriends, nothing for the common wananchi. Talk about KEMSA, where did the money go to? I have heard Uhuru made a big, and someone said, I've heard Uhuru made a big announcement that he has allocated shillings 8 billion for the youth. This kind of initiative was put in place a couple of years ago, and my friend was in charge of it. However, the more the money disappeared to what will be different. So what will be different this time? Okay, so I'm sure you heard that, and that's what some of us here are actually saying, that if the constitution was there and it wasn't respected or followed, nothing was implemented. What is different? What is going to be different? So someone is saying the youths this, the women this. It's always been there. No. Whole wild billionaires buying out Kenya, leaving poor Kenyans in real poverty. What can be done to save normal mwananchi? Okay, so I'll leave it there as we continue, and I'll continue with Dr. Milton.
Oh, thanks, Lydia, for that. Thanks a lot, our guests on Facebook as well. Thanks for joining us. Now, to be honest, there's so many things that we need to analyze around this that we can't just have the time for it. First of all, let me just put one record straight that Julius was talking about. I didn't say, I can never utter that Kenyans don't have skills. Kenyans are highly trained. We have, in fact, we have excess skills, absolutely. So somebody like me can never stand anywhere and say the Kenyans don't have skills. What I meant is, what I'm saying, I think a few other people maybe got it wrong as well. What I was talking about is the kind of capacity and culture needed within this devolved government to manage public funds prudently. If you look at a lot of those the devolved governments, you find a wheelbarrow that cost 100,000 Kenya shillings and somebody happily paid for it. Does that person have the capacity to handle that kind of a money? I talked with some people in some county governments when I was in Kenya recently, and they said by themselves that, you know what, the money that we are managing, we have never managed these amounts of money before. Yeah, the budgets that are being given to these governments, in a lot of cases, the culture is not there. People don't see that this money needs to be used for public services and to deliver services to the people. That is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about people with degrees and trained and all that. I know that is there in plenty. There's no problem with that. So let me just put that one straight. Okay, now let me go to, I want to stay close to the questions from our guests. I've had a guest asking about what is the BBI going to bring on the table for the common man and the common woman. I want to speak to that, because one of the reasons why you guests came onto this forum is for us to educate ourselves about what is in the BBI. I know that there's a lot of focus being given, in fact, a lot of the debate is about the expansion of the executive to include the prime minister, deputy prime minister, and whatnot. That is where a lot of the discussion is. And the problem with that is that it overshadows the rest of the things that are within that document. Now, if you have studied that document, now let's assume that that document is implemented, and let's assume also that people are going to follow that constitution. If they do that, well, let's assume that those are provided. I now want to point out some things that are pro common man and woman. Number one, there's a provision for the youth. The youth having access to a certain amount of funds, the youth having access to a certain quota of government contracts, if that is implemented, that is there. The youth having access to innovation hubs where they can go and if a member of the youth have some business idea, they can go to that incubation center and develop that idea. That is in the BBI report, and it's also in the bill. So that is very much pro the common man and the common woman. So that's going to be helpful if it is implemented and it is followed through. So I think that needs to be looked at. Number two, if you look at the HELB Act, there's an act that is going to be amended in relation to Higher Education Loans Board. So if you are here listening and you're one of the students who use the HELB, there is something that is good for you in that clause. It says that you will not be charged for interest on that loan that you took to study in the university until when you get a job. That is how it is if it is implemented. Is that not good for the common man? I think it would be good for me. I can believe that. At the moment, if you are a former student of a Kenyan university and you benefit from the Higher Education Loans Board, the interest will be charged. Even if you take 10 years without a job, the interest will go up. The day that you get employment, you're going to start paying the interest at that point. Now they want to change that so that you don't get interest until the day that they get notification that you have a job. Is that good or bad? That is good.
But that, let me just cut you there, but that has always been there. HELB has always, that is how they've always operated though. HELB has always operated like that. There's no interest until you start working. They've always, so BBI bringing that in, there's no change. That has always been there.
But it was not changed. There was no legal framework for it. Yeah.
Can I say something?
Yes.
One of the things that diaspora found themselves having big trouble with, is the requirements when you are making application for a job. Number one, you need to get a certificate of clearance from Kenya Revenue Authority, KRA. Now, that's number one. Number two, you have to produce HELB certificate of clearance to say that you don't have a loan with them, or you have a loan with them, but you are paying nicely. That was a requirement. Before you are given a job in Kenya, that was a requirement. And these were not free. You had to pay before when they started. Then the third one, certificate of good conduct from Kenyan police. Now imagine you are applying a job from America, from UK. I've had sad stories. I'll never forget this guy coming to me telling me, I made application for a civil service job in Kenya. He was shortlisted. And then he bought air ticket and went all the way to Nairobi for the interview. And this called for him to really move his life around in the UK. He had to get permission from where he was working in the UK to go to Kenya. Then he shows up in Kenya and they tell him, if you don't have certificate of good conduct from the police, if you don't have a certificate from HELB to show that you are paid your loan, if you don't have a certificate of clearance from Kenya Revenue Authority, we are not going to give you the chance or interview or sit down with you. You have to produce that as a requirement. And it's like, you knew I was abroad. You never sent an email telling me your requirements. And as he was arguing with them, they never interviewed him. Now, because he took time off from work where he was working, comes back to the country he was in, and he finds that his permission to go to Kenya, there was mistakes, and he got a sack. So you left a job to Kenya to go for an interview in Kenya. They don't interview you, come back to the country you are living, and there you lost your job. How painful can it get? So one of the things that I want to share with people right now is it's okay. Even if you don't work to Kenya, you can still file your returns. Zero returns, they call them in KRA. You can do that. And it's important, if you have a PIN number, it's important to be up to date. Because if you are not, remember this, every month you don't file, they charge you 2,000 shillings. So if you finish 1 year, that's 12,000 shillings. So you can do that and you remain compliant with KRA. HELB. I interviewed the board in London on my show, Global Conversations, once. And one of the challenge I say to them, why do you want me, when I never took a loan with you, why do you want me to come to your institution and begin to seek clearance? Why can't you have a framework whereby people who never took your loan, keep them out of your records, don't pursue them because you have nothing to deal with them? And also, why is it that all this money you are charging people who are looking for jobs? Why? So some of the things that we have seen have been kind of corrected right now, because I think you can get clearance, certificate of clearance on HELB loan for free. So they don't charge you anymore, which is brilliant and it's important to have. But what I want to say, and what is very important, it's good to have a framework in our country whereby all these students, graduates, if they have no job, give them the chance to start working, but also tell them how much they need to be earning so that they start to repay back. Because you may start to sell chicken, you are making only 2,000 in 2 weeks or whatever, you're still working, classified as working. If you have to file returns, does that mean there's no communication? That's a problem. We need to know how much will you be earning before you start to pay? Will you afford to be able to start to pay? That's one thing. But to have that framework, I agree with you, is very important for the country. The other thing I've seen also on the BBI is telling you,
can I catch you there, Baluto? You come back. You come back with your point. Yeah.
Okay.
Can I catch you there? You just come back with your point. Just to say thank you for everybody who is watching. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for your comments. Keep bringing your comments. Someone say real life in Kenya will be when BBI goes through, will be, okay, this one is, we are going to be sold out. The wage bill, we can't even manage. Great conversation, learning a lot. That's from the university student. And every boy child should join KDF or so, but I think KDF institutions should have careers, also not just becoming soldiers. We don't, and someone said, we don't pay for any, we don't put any blame to finances culprits, but the governance, machineries, and system, the judiciary is toothless. Where is combat on corruption in the BBI? Seems visibly left out. Every Kenyan with good careers should get access to open an institution for the youths, period. Okay, thank you very much. And my people, keep sharing, keep comments coming. Thank you. So I'll go to Zachariah before I come back to Baluto. Thank you, Baluto.
Yeah, thank you very much once again. Let's drive away from the BBI. Let's talk about how we can solve our own problems as diaspora. Because BBI mostly is based on the Kenyan soil. It affects us directly. Let's leave it to and see how we can maneuver the BBI and the laws that govern us. Now, how can we get this solution? Because we need to engage with the government. I know it's hard because we've been frustrated as people are living diaspora to engage with the government. We've been neglected, all the times. Now, things that I'm looking at as in terms of solutions. Whoever wants to talk about BBI, that's fine. But I'm talking about what can we engage the government or engage our local authority from the county level, because when we talk about the government, let's look up to the chief level, because we're talking about the executives. We talk about the bloated government, but can we form as I don't know whether this is still happening or not, or it has been formed. In terms of remittance to Kenya, diaspora should form companies, focus on development. As a unit, let's show the example that we can do it while we're out here, because we're so much divided, even if you're here. We are blaming, Kenya and the population, but we are Kenyans. We are actually doing the opposite, or exactly what the Kenyans are doing. We are not united as Kenyans. Remittance are based on individual projects, which I mentioned before. But let's now focus on forming groups, forming companies, individual companies or a group of companies, regardless where you come from. It doesn't matter whether you're what tribe. We are all Kenyans. That's one thing. And second is the other solution, investments. The investments I think we should base on direct investment to a certain sector in Kenya once you form a group. Trade, you know, I've got a very bad experience because I've invited so many trade organizations. Julius, you're there. That was like about 2 years ago. And you invited in a Kenyan trade organization, whereby 90% are not Kenyans. But the diaspora who are companies, who have the skills, but you find 95% are not even Kenyans from diaspora in that forum or in that conference. That's something we need to discuss with the ambassador as well, because we need to engage as a business part of it. Now, in terms of skills and knowledge, now we're doing Zoom now. Why can't we actually do learning distance? You don't need Kenya to educate somebody. You know, you can do Zoom of your family, you can do Zoom of anybody. So let's use the advanced technology to advance our projects. The connectivity, that's another issue. You know, we are global connected. The world is becoming smaller. You know, the next generation will have more advantage to connect that than where, you know, the way we are as the old generation. So let's use the technology. Yes, you know, in terms of giving them ideas, working on what we have here, transfer that knowledge to Kenya using our own systems, using the technology advancements. You know, and secondly, if there's somebody who is in the government right now, we are talking about BBI, but we have not even solved the voting system. We cannot vote. It's in this constitution. It's in the constitution, and we should be vote. If we cannot vote and elect people with integrity, you know, the opportunity for us to elect people with the outlook to support the underprivileged, we are just going to be making noise, you know. And finally, before I finish, my conclusion before the day ends is like, if we can work as diaspora and forget about individualism, let's work as a team. Let's work ourselves as the spider nets, create those bonds, tighten them. We will do better as a nation. We'll do better as a community rather than working as individuals to advance what you want to do. It doesn't matter whether you're doing in Kenya or doing here as Kenyans. Lydia appreciates and really admire what you're doing, bringing Kenya the Park, which is one of the, you're the founder of the organization, and you set the example. We can set this on every single country or every single locality, whether you're going to do it in Glosia, you're going to do it in Reading. We have one in Reading example because you did that. So bringing Kenya together, working together, politics aside, is about development. You know, politicians will fail us, but we still have to work with them, unfortunately. And also, the final say is that as long as we as diaspora work as ambassadors to Kenya, we'll far much better. Promote our skills, promote our culture. You know, in terms of Maasai, the only culture that every single person in the diaspora knows is a Maasai. What about our food? Nyama choma. You know, Indians are doing it. Indians are having Indian restaurants everywhere. They are doing all these things to promote Indian cuisines. What about us? Think about it.
Thank you so much. I know Agri has his hands up, but with the implementation of our skills in Kenya, we actually have a systematic oppression system in Kenya that will not even allow you to implement your skills in Kenya. Because I remember, I know Baluto has spoken about the guy, Washington Okumu. He actually went to Kenya to try and implement the same thing he did here in the UK, and it works. If you live in London, you know that central London, the congestion works. But sometimes I hate him a little bit because they charge me all the time. I go to that area, I'm always getting fines, but it works. And if you don't pay the fine, you're in trouble. There's no bribing your way through. And he went to Kenya and they did accept him. So the systematic oppression that we have in that place, that you cannot bring your skills unless you give the cartel something as well. And then because you have this different mindset of, I'm not going to bribe anybody, I'm not going to give cartel anything, you lose out. And that's just the oppression that we have, the system we have right now. Yes,
we still have to engage. We still have to push it. It
Yes.
won't be easy.
Yeah, it won't be easy. That's why we still have to push it. And that's why I always say that everybody who has a platform, I know Baluto has a platform, everybody, and you, Zachariah, now you're going to have a platform, even though it's in the UK, but you can still use it stroke Kenya. Every single person who has a platform, regardless of how big or that small that platform is, we have to use it. Because there's no big or small platform. I always say that it takes one person to change a lot. And that one person can be on that your small platform, and that person can change something. So yes, so before that, I'll go to Agri. Agri had his hands up. I don't think I want to choose this Milton again because he has taken over the program today. Okay, Dr. Milton, that's why he's a doctor.
Yeah, he's your favorite, your followers on there, I can see.
Yes.
Yeah, mine is just
So
to
Agri.
go back to what Zachariah was saying. Now, I think you talked about diaspora participating in Kenya physically. The few diaspora that have tried to go and try to do something have had to come back.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Because the conditions there are not favorable at all. Number one, the politicians want you to send money. So if you go there, they won't be receiving that money. But last week I was listening to Inside Politics, and Kipchumba Karori said, diaspora, they seem to be, because they send us the little money, they think that they can now start dictating to us what they want us to do. And I'm thinking, okay, diaspora now contributes, what, 2.9 billion? 304 billion Kenya shillings a year. I mean, that's an insult to diasporans. And it just shows you how they are, the political elite and the elites look at diasporans. You're an enemy to them. If you go there, maybe you're going to empower the people there, and they don't like that. Mm-hmm. So the only thing that probably diaspora could do is come together and decide, like what's happening with the places like Ghana or Nigeria. People come together and they say, okay, fine, let's invest. Even in Kenya, it's happening with people building up estates. Now diaspora should look at, can we have our industry there? The only problem you have with that is that by the time you finish bribing everybody to get all the licenses, you'll probably be lucky to have half the money left to do anything you want to do. That's the only problem you have. I mean, it's all controlled, and you must pay to the chiefs, people in charge, who are mainly actually politicians, by the way, but represented by other people.
They are called cartels in one word.
Yeah, and cartels. I feel sorry for my friend Sonko, He was a cartel, but I think there were other tougher cartels than him. Another thing, diaspora needs to have, at the moment we have got so many small splinter groups. It would be nice if those splinter groups came up with one uniform central system whereby they can say, okay, fine, let's all subscribe to this central system and let's actually have a voice. So that when Uhuru comes or anybody comes, you meet these people and sit down with them and tell them, these are our problems. We know you can't solve all of them, but we can try. So that's what really needs to come. Diaspora, meaning government. I think we'll leave it there.
We actually have, just talking of remittances, sorry, Baluto, you come in. We actually have the remittances that we send in Kenya is actually the main and the biggest source of income in Kenya. It's more than agriculture, more than tea, coffee. So one day we had the ex-chairman of IBC, and what he said is because that money does not really go directly on anybody's pocket in Kenya, but it's just for our parents' education, hospital, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't go to them. So they don't really care. And talking about unity, he actually said, and John was here, is not here today, he said, what the government, what they always say is what to do. Diaspora, what to do. You know, that's a word they really like, and I really hate that word. What to do is because we are not together. And yes, I understand what everybody's saying, but there's a group called One Voice Consortium. It's based in America. So One Voice Consortium, they're really trying to bring all the Kenyans together. But what they're doing is they're bringing organizations. So they're not just bringing Lydia as Lydia Olette or probably Milton, but they're bringing, if Milton has an organization or a company, they're bringing Milton and his company. Right now I'm talking to you, they have more than 50 different companies under One Voice Consortium, is based in America, and they have more than 100,000 individuals. So this app started, it's just that we really need to spread the word, we need to spread the news about them, and it will get to a point where they will listen to us. But right now we are voiceless because we do not have a voice, because we don't have one voice. All we need is one voice. So, okay, so I'll go to, yes, Milton?
Yeah, let me just, thanks a lot, Lydia, and thanks to our guests over there on Facebook. Thanks a lot for coming. Now, I just want to make a point related to the idea of the diaspora. You know, you've talked about it, Lydia. Zachary talked about it, Agri as well. Now, there's a debate that the contemporary diaspora, the diaspora of this current time, that they are neglected in the countries where they come from. So if we focus on Kenya, there's a discussion that the Kenyan diaspora, apart from sending in all these remittances, you are absolutely powerless, like Lydia has put it, and that is absolutely true. I go back to the point that I made at the first contribution that I made. I was saying in that submission that the diaspora, the contemporary diaspora, the diaspora that we have at this time, is not the same kind of diaspora that was there in the 1980s and 1970s. That diaspora was of a different character. They were politically active when they came here. They were politically engaged. They were united, and they were relatively homogeneous. If you looked at them, most of them were, they had a political background before they came into the diaspora. Now, when they were in the diaspora in the 1970s, in the 1980s, they were a political force. They, in fact, some members of the diaspora actually influenced government in Africa. They even changed governments. They even installed, they supported people, certain individuals, to actually get into political office. They used to do that. But are we able to do that now? So that is the thing that we need to think about before we start a debate on how are we being treated in Nairobi? Are we being given the kind of platform that we need to have as members of the diaspora? Lydia, you have just mentioned about disunity. That's a big thing. Why is that disunity? Two things. One is that the diaspora that we have today is heterogeneous. It's not homogeneous like it used to be before. So the people are so different now. There are so many people here in the diaspora who are not politically active. They don't know anything political in Kenya. If you ask them, if they know when the elections are going to happen in Kenya, they don't know it. So do you expect that kind of member of the diaspora to have a contribution that the government want to listen to? So there's a lot of divisions. There is even ethnicity has made its way into the body of the diaspora, so that the same ethnic sentiment that you see in Nairobi, you see them also in the diaspora at the same time. I remember in 2006 when I was in Australia, and Raila came visiting in Australia, and when he was coming to Australia, the whole arrangement was left for the Luos to do. It's your leader who is coming. Yeah, so just make the arrangements for the leader who is coming. So you see that kind of thing. So if we in the diaspora, we still entertain those kinds of ethnic notions, then it means that it's very difficult for us to unite and become a powerful platform of the kind that we are trying to debate for. So before we even think about having a platform there in Nairobi and to be influential, we first of all need to make ourselves united, make ourselves strong, and make ourselves people who have bigger ideals that go beyond beyond ethnicity and things and class. Now, one thing that we need to know is that the diaspora that we have today is very diverse. So that diversity should be a theme when we are trying to unite people. Let's not think that you just say, all right, let's come to the meeting and everyone's going to come. There are people who work that day that you want them to come to the meeting. That's when they are required to work somewhere. So they're not going to come. So we need to be aware of that diversity as well. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much, Milton, for that. Baluto, before you say something, let me just read this and then Baluto, you go because we are actually also running out of time. But I'll let Baluto talk because he had his hands up. Ha, kizungu sa zingine, bye. He had his hands up. Yeah, that's the right one for a long time.
Okay.
Okay. So somebody said, just to read and to say thank you very much, everybody who is watching. Thank you very much, and keep on sharing, commenting, and asking your questions. What is BBI going to do with desertification? We have large scales of land in northern Kenya that produce nothing. Irrigation can be used there to feed our hungry nation, Kenya. BBI, my foot, watching from Vihiga, Kenya. Okay. Okay. Can we unite as diaspora people? Can we unite as diaspora people? Since this narrative of talking will not get us far. Look at the politicians, even those who say no to BBI are saying yes right now. Without unity, we can talk, as one said, till the cows come back home. There's other issues that have totally been ignored. Unfortunately, the idea that men in Kenya have the full right to marry as many, seriously, okay. As many wives, what happens to the woman's right is a complete rat race with all Kenyan women. Why are the women left in the trap? Okay, so somebody's talking about that, and that's Richard. That's a man, actually. Well done. Okay, development countries goes around the globe, picking each and every skill, big or small, and support it from their own benefit. Why not Kenya? Diaspora need to fill their own candidates who we support, who we sponsor. Let's put our monies where our mouth is. Zachariah, I hear what you're saying. You have spent 15 years telling fellow East Africans to have a media entity like Arabs and Indians do. Our problem is everybody wants to have a shining star. Look at your panel, very well educated. We have professionals from different backgrounds, but it is impossible to come together and create something massive. That presidential prerogative is ill-placed and has no place in our contemporary society. Kenya picks only garbage when foreigners picks our best. One voice doing very well, unity is key. Good job, team, you are doing so well. Okay, I'll leave it there because we're running out of time. And there are a million ways of creating jobs in Kenya, e.g. digging wells, solar system are on the rise, etc. Okay, thank you very much, everybody on Facebook. Keep sharing, keep commenting, keep your questions coming. Thank you very much. I'll go to Baluto. And then Baluto, say your points, and then Agri, and then we'll say our last. Yeah, go on.
Well, mine is just to really embrace what some of the people have shared. Of course, the key point and rallying point is unity of diaspora. I've been one of the person as a media practitioner interviewing all these politicians, whereby sometimes I get angry. I remember last time when I interviewed Francis Atwoli in London, and I said to him, you're a trade unionist, you've traveled so many countries, you meet Kenyans. Why don't you just figure out how to go about it and also support the diaspora cause, where it's like, we need to be treated as Kenyans. We need to feel we belong. We need to stop feeling that we only, our money matters, only our money matters. And these are aspects of feeling belongingness, the right to vote, which the Constitution 2010 gave Kenyans. But IEBC has been dilly-dallying there. wasting time. Until time comes, they say they have no funds to enable diaspora to vote. So when you look into all these things, all these things are very important. Unity of diaspora, very key. Let me tell you guys, whether you like it or not, when colonialists were in Kenya, it took a few people to say, we are going to fight this. They didn't wait for their mates. It was like, I really want to fight for my country, to free my country, to remain an independent nation. It was a few who made that decision, and they became their community leaders. So diaspora, let me tell you something, whether we like it or not, we are living in times of economic colonialism. Economic colonialism. It comes from China, it goes everywhere, and China is going to bets with African governments. Tell me why in Zambia, 2020, in Zambia, a Chinese firm employing Zambians. The Chinese bosses refuses the Zambians to ever go home because for like almost 2 months, because they are telling them, if you go home, you bring Corona to our organization. Where did Corona come from? Is it not China? These things are happening in Africa. Come to Kenya. SGR 2020, it was declared illegal because the tendering procurement of the contract given to the Chinese was not done procedurally. It was not done in respect or reference to the Constitution of Kenya. So it was Supreme Court declared it illegal. So now it stopped at Naivasha. It may never go to Kisumu, not even talk about Uganda and other countries that it was to proceed. So we need, when we understand we are living at a times of economic colonialism, our country is going through that colonization. And for us as diaspora, we don't need permission from anybody. We need to take initiative on our own accord because it's our country and ask our questions. How can we unite? How can we become a front that matters? If UK alone, we had all this like one voice, like Lydia shared, and this unit in UK alone brought together diaspora, and we go to the property industry. We build houses for our people. It's investing. We don't need permission from anyone. We can do it. And when you talk about also the importance of unity, we are going to lead the movement through economy, that even the government will begin to turn around and say, oh, these diaspora are so active on the ground. We need to listen to them. But as long as we keep talking, a poor man never gets listened to. But if you become a rich person, even if you are very foolish, everyone will want to talk to you. We have to think about it. My last word to this, imagine you have gone to a dark room and it was very dark and you were afraid of the dark. What do? Do you close your eyes to avoid the darkness? Or do you open them twice as much? So Kenyans, those who are watching us on Facebook, thank you for being with us. Our panelists, Lydia, let us all Kenyans stop closing our eyes at a dark night to avoid darkness.
Thank you very much. Before I go to Aggrey, because we're now going to give our last remarks, and Aggrey, when you give your point, and then you give your last remarks as well in the same breath. I just want to say thank you once again for people watching us on Facebook. And just to read few things, somebody said, before we even start rebuking the system back home, we in diaspora should be transformed from Saul to Paul in order to move forward together. Only our money matters. You nailed it. And the women have been let down. The women have been ignored. But what I hear is BBI, it has something for the women. So let's wait and see. I'm just facilitating, but let's wait and see. And did Kenya really get freedom? Somebody please explain to me the meaning of freedom. And then economic colonialism is so true. Thank you guys, I can now sleep. Okay, so thank you so much for watching. Please keep sharing. Even if we finish, just keep sharing so some people can also be educated. But I just wanted to say something about what Valuti said, people who fought for us. And I feel like we've actually let a lot of people down, not just as Kenyans, but as either Black people or as Africans. We've let people like Malcolm X who fought for us. We have Martin Luther King. We have Marcus Garvey, we have Steve Biko, we have Fred Hampton, we have Mark Clark, we have Patrick Lumumba, actually from Congo, we have Thomas Sankara, who was actually really assassinated by his own friend. We have people like Robert Ouko as well. We have Dedan Kimathi. You know, all these people fought for us so that we can have a better tomorrow. I'm sure they're turning off their graves like, why did we even die? We died for nothing. Because what is happening right now, just as a Black community, not just even Kenya, is absurd. Disgrace to human race. So, okay, so I'll go to our last remarks now. So to Milton, but this is your last remark, guys. It's not 2 minutes, it's just seconds. Last remark. Thank you, Milton.
I thought it was Agri.
It was Agri.
No. Milton, Agri will come later, but I'll start with the way I was going. Because I know if I leave Milton last, we will not leave this place. So he has to start.
I know. Thanks a lot, Lydia, and thanks to all our guests over there on Facebook. Thanks a lot for coming. Now, this is a big debate. You know, we can't conclude it. We can't actually round it up. You know, we just looked at a small bit of it. So now my closing remarks are that in regard to the diaspora, there's potential for the diaspora to play a big role in Kenya's development, including political discussions, but it all depends on the structuring of the diaspora itself. So we only get, we need to earn it. We need to earn it. I would say we need to earn that platform. That platform is not given on a silver platter that you are in London, so the platform is here for you. No, we're going to earn it. How are we going to earn it? We earn it by making ourselves coherent, a coherent body, a body that is as united as possible, a body that is focused and with a vision and ready to serve. And we need to be aware. If we are a diaspora that has people who are not aware of what is happening, that diaspora cannot be given a platform. So the platform will not be given, but we deserve that platform. We need to work and earn it. Let's earn our position as a diaspora. Now, in relation to the BBI, my points are very clear. One is that the BBI provides a great opportunity for the country to transform itself. It's not perfect. Don't think that anybody believes that it's perfect. It's not perfect, but it has certain things that are absolutely great for the country. I urge all our guests to pay attention to all parts of the document. Don't just listen to the politicians talking about the prime minister and the deputy prime minister, and it crowds out everything that is on that report. Let each and every person listening go in and read that report, go into the bill. There's a bill that has come out of the BBI, the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020. Go and read its provisions and find out. Don't go with rumors and stuff like that. I go with the substance of the document. So go and read the document and listen to everything in that document, and then you're going to see that that document has things that are very strong, and there's some areas that needs improving, which we also know which areas need to be improved. So I'll just leave it at that point, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much. All our guests on Facebook, we really love you. Keep on sharing.
Thank you very much, Milton. And I'll go to Mike. Eddie, your last remarks, please.
Thank you very much, Lydia. I'm going to touch on the diaspora coming together to do things back home. We just need the unity. We need to unite. We need to come together with a vision, clear vision to do something either for the youth or Mama Mboga or education, whichever it is. Just let us come together. And with the BBI, we need to read more and take it in totality or tear it into pieces, whichever we choose. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'll go to Mbaluto, please.
I think the most important thing we need to know, all of us, we don't need permission from anyone. It's up on us. We already have the permission. We already have what it takes. If you wait for anyone to tell you, start going, and they know you're going to succeed where you're going, they wouldn't allow you even the journey to begin. So we have the permission.
Sorry, Baluto, sorry. Accidentally muted you there.
I have unmuted. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
That's fine. Yeah, so we have what it takes. We have the mindset, and we just need to ask ourselves, yes, we got freedom from our forefathers who fought for us. What are we doing now? What will the future generations say if we don't act? If we blame the systems, if we blame lack of political will, it's just like living in colonialism and you're like, these politicians from UK cannot allow us to get freedom. Nothing will be given on a silver platter. We have the permission. It's up on us to start the journey, to transform. So it's not about what they are doing for us. It's what we are going to do, what remains to be the right thing to be done.
Thank you, Baluto. Zachariah, please.
Yeah, thanks, Lydia. The discussion was very active, and we are frustrated, people living in diaspora. And imagine that you had a child that was born here, has never gone to Kenya, or wasn't born in Kenya, never lived in Kenya. We are frustrated as parents. And now you think about, how do we translate that to the child? How do you think the child is feeling? If we are as a parents showing this, the negative, or we can't work together in our own country, these children will stay here confused. So what we need to do is to embrace, and if you can work in England, if you can contribute by any means. I know all of us are politicians by mouth. We talk about politics every day in the UK. But if you got the strength, you've got the ability, why can't you get involved in the politics in the UK? Join a party, be a councillor, contest, show that you're actually contributing to the society that you're living in. And also that will translate to our kids, even if they're here. How did Obama become a president? How did he manage to translate from being a Kenyan and actually work to be a president? He got involved in local projects. Let's get our children getting local projects. Ourselves as well, Lydia, you're doing the same thing, and encourage our kids who are here to contribute as well. Kenya is not the only destination that we are in. We can do it here. On the other side, I'm just saying that thank you again, and also get vaccinated. That is what you need to do to save our lives. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So I'll go to Agri, please. You wanted to say something, so you can say it, incorporate it with your last remarks.
Well, the few comments that were made about colonization, both by Baluto and I think Milton or Zakaria, I can't remember exactly. Okay, mine was just to say that in reality, the architects that was set up in 1962 for the country has never really gone away. Kenya is still colonized mentally and economically. If you go there now, you'll find that teams like Arsenal, Chelsea, they have more highlight than the local teams. So people don't even know that local teams exist. So all I'm going to say is that there has to be what we call a mindset change in the way people think and the way they do things. Look at the police, for example. Police brutality is straight from the book of colonization. The training, everything they've been taught. The public is your enemy. So every time something small happens, you have to go and beat up people, brutalize and kill, and nobody's held account to it. This is all to do with colonization, the architect that was actually put in place. I disagree with Baluto in I can't remember what it was, but I think he made a comment along the lines of oh God, I can't remember. But anyway, there's something he said that I disagreed with at that moment in time. And I think it's good to note that Kenyans are capable of doing quite a lot. Kenyans, given the right environment, it would overtake many countries economically and also intellectually. My closing word is that diaspora, I've seen comments there in diaspora about diaspora uniting and diaspora being more committed to the country. If anybody is committed to the country at all, it will be the diaspora, because diasporas raise issues, especially issues that relate to people who are suffering, fellow Kenyans suffering. I mean, when COVID came around, the government had actually abandoned people outside in China, and while they're being mistreated, a mother and child was on the street, and people had, diaspora raised their voice and said, no, you can't say that. You can't go and say, oh, you're not going to help these people. I mean, they're taxpayers. They've gone there to do business that can bring back money into the country or bring goods to improve the economy of the country. So you find that it's like diaspora is not really recognized to the contribution to the economy by our political elite and by our government. The government just wants to, just bring. But why can't you even bring the skills from diaspora to actually come and carry out some of the work in the country? Because if fellow Africans can see, fellow Kenyans can see how we work here, the manner in which we work, then that information will be imparted, that skill will be imparted. So the government needs to do a bit more than just say that, oh, diaspora need to be more committed to the country and be more patriotic. We're very patriotic. Otherwise, people wouldn't be sending money to their relatives when they're in hospital, when they're sick, contributing to Harambes and God knows what else. And I think I'll conclude there because I think we run out of time.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I agree. And what I can also say as the panelist, we do have a lot of people who are still commenting, and I'm not going to read because it's a lot and we're running out of time. So what I always ask my panelists to do is to please go on Facebook, and because I know it's either your followers there or it doesn't even matter who is there watching or who is there commenting, please go and talk to them, answer their questions, or just respond to their comment. Not necessarily question, but just respond to their comment. So let them feel that we are together. So once again, thank you so much, everybody who was watching on Facebook. Still keep sharing, and we're also back here again tomorrow. We are every Saturday and Sunday, same place, same time, every Saturday and Sunday. And thank you for sharing. Today, I don't even think we've had so much share like we did today. So guys who came in, that is called United Front. So thank you very much. And for me, when it comes to BBI, or it's not that I'm against BBI, and I think it's not that Kenyans are against BBI, it's just the implementation that people are against. Because these things have always been in institution, 2010, it's always been in our constitution, but they've never been implemented. So if we see things being implemented, oh yes, everybody will love it. Everybody will say, okay, well done, we appreciate this. But to see or to hear our own president say that 2 billion gets lost every day or gets stolen every day, that's scary. So, and that's why a lot of people are thinking, so what's up with the BBI? What difference will it make from everything that we've seen or gone through? So otherwise, thank you very much, my panelists. Today, I know Mike had to leave, but I will say thank you to him anyway. And thank you so much, Julius. And thank you, Zachariah. Thank you, Agri. Thank you, Dr. Milton. And thank you so much, everybody who was watching on Facebook. Welcome. But just like Zachariah said, I don't know about the injection. I can't speak about it. But all I can speak about is, yes, COVID is real. Guys, wash your hands. And I always say that it's common sense to wash hands, but it's not really, because my grandma in the village hates washing hands. She asked me, when is this washing hands going to stop? I said, my grandma, you need to wash your hands. She said, no, this is not my life. I don't really wash hands, and I'm healthy, and I'm almost 90 years old. I'm still living. So it's not really common sense, but just wash your hands, guys. If you're indoors, wash it with soap. If you're out, please walk with your sanitizer, social distancing, wear your mask, and stay safe. Save your own life, your family, and your friends and people around you. Stay safe, everybody. So I'll say thank you so much. But my panelists, you stay behind. But everybody on Facebook, I'll say thank you, thank you, thank you. And I'll see you tomorrow and next weekend. So bye. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Bye.
At World Remit, we understand what the journey is about, how it can sometimes take a little distance to bring us a little closer together. With ways to save more when you send more, World Remit is here for you, so you can be there for them.